Hey everyone, it's the Coco Nomad, and on this channel, I talk about location and financial independence. And if you'd like to follow along on those adventures, go ahead and click that subscribe button and click the like button while you're down there, and you will be alerted every time a video is dropped on YouTube. So this particular video, I want to jump into it, and it's about my travel plans for this year. This is the first time in a couple of years, of course, like everybody else, where I really get an opportunity to think about what I want to do in terms of travel and where I want to go and actually plan the year out. Now, the last time I did this was 2020, and we all know what happened, but I'm willing to give it another shot. So I'm going to start with the overall theme and the goal, and that is to reach 50 countries. I've traveled to about 38 or 39 countries so far and lived in, various periods of time. And I wanted to see if I could hit 50 this year. So I'm going to hit 50 this year in September. So I would see like, hey, can I get to 50 countries? Maybe not by my birthday, but at least by the end of the year. So that's the overarching theme this year. I thought it would just be fun to kind of frame this around something. And then I just want to dive into like the parts of the year and the types of trips that I'm planning. And let's start just with the first quarter of the year, basic January through March. And what I have planned is to go to Brazil. And this will be my first time visiting Brazil. I've never been before, oddly enough. And I was invited by a friend to come, who's Brazilian, to come and check it out. So I'll be there for about a month and a half. And I will be based in Sao Paulo. But that doesn't mean that I won't explore some other parts of the country. That's just where I will have the bulk of my stuff and my apartment, and that'll give me a chance to see that city and then maybe take a couple of trips while I'm there to explore some other parts as well. So I'm pretty excited about that. That is really the only trip I have planned for the first quarter of the year. I may do a trip back to Guatemala in March. I may come back here to Mexico City. That one's kind of up in the air. And that's the nice thing about this is while I have some firm dates of things that I'd like to be able to do, I'm not trying to overbook and overplan and I want to really keep flexibility as a part of this, with the exception of a few things that are really centered around a few dates. Of course, with Brazil, it's coming up very soon. So I went ahead and booked and planned that. So that's already set. And the second quarter of the year, that's where it's going to get really flexible. And in general, I just want to be sort of in Eurasia. And so I'm going to try to anchor myself in Turkey. So that'll be my home base or anchor location for the second quarter of the year, starting with planning a trip to be in Istanbul and then Antalya. So I think it might be a good idea because I've also never been to Turkey. It'll be the first time there. I really wanted to give myself an opportunity to explore it. So a month, the north being in Istanbul, and then in the south in Antalya, being on the water or close to it. And then from those trips, really looking to explore a couple of places and do some trips that I've been wanting to do for a while. In particular, wanted to go to Egypt and finally see the Great Pyramid of Giza, go to Jordan and see the city of Petra. And then from there, there's a couple of other smaller trips that I might just do, like some weekend trips just to explore. And that would include Romania, Cyprus, United Emirates, go to Dubai. I've never been, finally make a trip there, maybe just do a nice little weekend exploration there. And then visiting the island of Socotra if I'm able to. I did want to visit Odessa because I've not been to the Ukraine, but that one I'm not really sure about right now with the current political situation. We'll see how that shakes out. So, and then finally, as a part of that same 3-month period, doing a month in Jordan and being based in Tbilisi. So that would be the 3 months in that time period. Now, because I'm being flexible, I think I can probably, I may shift a little bit of that into July and even August timeframe. So this, even though I said Q2, may sort of move that over depending on the situations and locations, the budget, the price, just my plans, they may shift. And, also friends. Like I have some friends that are also planning to be in those places during the time. So depending on their plans and how they change, I'm flexible in changing to accommodate that as well. As a bonus during that time, I definitely want to return to Europe, spend a little bit of time in Spain and Portugal, and possibly even Italy. So there might be a trip to Tuscany as well, maybe spending a few weeks there if I can and if everything works out. So that's that second into the third quarter. And then when we move into the third quarter, I actually do have a particular trip planned. And this is the big trip that I planned for 2020 that fell through. And that is a trip called the Nomad train, where I'd be taking a train from Moscow into Mongolia. And it's about 2 weeks. And I'm really excited about doing that. I've got a friend that's going as well. She was also a friend that I was going to travel with in 2020. We all that got canceled. I think there's actually about 4 or 5 of us that are planning to go as part of the group. And we will see how this works out. But I'm really excited. I haven't done a train trip in quite some time. And the last one I did was in the US on Amtrak. That wasn't great, but it was an adventure, but it wasn't great. And I'm looking forward to this one and to see if I can have a better experience. I know a lot of people have wanted to do this one, and it should be neat to see. I've never been to Russia, never been to Mongolia. Again, it's a lot of new countries. I think this year is a good opportunity to sort of just break out and visit a few places that I've never seen before, just get a chance to explore, see more of the world. And then that leads me into the fourth quarter. And at the end of that trip ends in Mongolia. And that gives me an opportunity to kind of go back through Southeast Asia and explore some other parts of Asia that I haven't visited. So I've got some friends in Kuala Lumpur that I'm really looking forward to seeing. We haven't seen each other in a while. Good to hang out, nerd out, and all that good stuff. And then friends in Cambodia and Thailand as well. And then I'd like to visit a couple countries in Asia that I haven't visited before, namely South Korea and Japan. So I'm actually sort of outlining, trying to see how I can work those trips out for the end of the year in the October to December timeframe. The challenge there, of course, is I love to be home for Thanksgiving. It's such a big holiday with my family. And so I don't know if I need to wrap all of this travel up before the Thanksgiving holiday, or if I need to go home and then sort of kickstart Asia. But that sort of takes me into 2023, and Africa is really, really big on my radar for 2023. So we'll see how that works out. But I know a lot of people don't like to make resolutions and all that kind of stuff, but I really do like to have at least some broad strokes and make plans for travel. So I'm curious, what are your plans for travel this year? Are you going to crank it up this year? Is it still another year where you're kind of waiting and seeing based on the situation around the world? What would you like to do? Like, do you have any particular sort of attractions or historic sites, things like that you want to see? Let me know and drop them in the comments. I'm always curious. Plus, I'm also looking for other places to visit. I just discovered Socotra. A friend of mine just went earlier this year, and so I added it to the itinerary just like that. So you never know. Maybe you'll put something on there and I'll add it to the itinerary as well. Hope you have an amazing week as always, and I will talk to you next time. Cheers.